G'day again, comrade subscribers. So, a couple of boards are clean. So I gave, so this is the RAM board, I guess, with the, I think the RGB out. So I gave this a good clean, and it's come up quite nice. Like I say, so these were all lying down, so I've lifted them all up for the clean, and you can actually see the RAM. So 4116, what's that? 16 kilobit. Hence the reason why there is so many, and a bit of a mixture. Beautiful little Tesla chips there, but yeah, you can see, so this should make up 64K. So perhaps there is, someone has made a modern version of it that's a bit more real estate, what's the word, a bit smaller. And yeah, there's this old dodgy one on the end there. Just made it in by the looks of it. So yeah, I'm assuming this, I'm assuming this was a working machine. Just turn it around this way. I assume this was a working machine, so it's not a problem. So yeah, I think it should be 64 kilobytes, made up of numerous 16 kilobit RAM chips. So that's been done. This 16 kilobyte RAM board has also EPROM board or ROM board has also been given a clean, and I've covered up the windows for what it's worth. I'm guessing that this is probably, there's a reproduction of this that could probably be just this size here. So you've got the connector there, got the edge connector there, and then probably you could do it in 2 or 3 chips. So, but yeah, so that's done. That's done. Little Bill reckons I should probably swap out this Pretend X2 safety capacitor, and I tend to agree with him, I guess. So whilst I'm in here, I'll just pull these out. So how's that attached? Yep. So I've got a few options, but I'll probably just stick with this one. This is the replacement I put in the Tesla PMD 10 power supply that had blown. So that should actually fit quite nicely there, I'm assuming. Much better than a reefer. I can just stick it there. Just obviously need to shorten the cables, and that should fit in quite nicely. So I'll do that tomorrow probably, and get started on the keyboard. So start pulling all the keys off. Probably take a photo first, so I know where everything went. Start pulling them off, give the keyboard a clean, and see if we can make any improvements to it. And then I think, well, I really need to give the motherboard a clean as well. I'll do some work, because the motherboard I've got to desolder all the wiring connected to the DIN cables. So I have to do that. So to be continued tomorrow. So I've got the fake X2 out. So I just unscrewed that from the side. Had a kind of a one-way retaining clip, so I couldn't get it open, so I've had to break it. So I'm just going to stick a cable tie through it. So yeah, so I just need to shorten those, put them on, and we're done. All right, another day, but yeah, so new X2, proper X2 protection capacitor now installed, power supply. So yeah, I'd really like to, I'm not going to obsess about the dirt, but I'd like to clean the keyboard. But I figured, like I said, so this is nice and clean now, looking much better, and the EPROM board. Put it back together and, well, see if it works. So to do that, I'm going to have to make an RGB cable. So I'm going to have to check the pin out, and if I've got a cable, otherwise I'll make one up. So I'll start putting this back together. Let's see. Right, so get the EPROM board back on very carefully, like so, and that screws into there. So I'll just put a couple of screws in. There's an earth strap there, so I'll just screw that in, and then one on this side. Then I think it'll be the RAM board, RWM. Right, EPROM board's on. Add the power supply. So these were all pushed down, all these capacitors, but I think there's just enough room, so I'll just leave them up for now. And I just need to find the big screws that went in there. Oh, here we go. And yeah, slowly. I quite like the way this is laid out. It's all like different sections, different boards. So it is possible to pull it apart from the riveted in DIN sockets where you have to desolder them. But yeah, it's quite a nice power supply. Sits neatly at the back. Okay, power supply's been reconnected. So one thing with the Tesla is that there were a bunch of tantalums right near the power input to the motherboard, and they kind of blew. So there's a couple here. So if anything's going to blow, I'm expecting maybe some tantalums. But let's see. Where's the RWM board? Right behind me. Okay. So that sits on top. So this is basically the RAM. Like I said, these are all 16 kilobit modules by the looks of it. So 2 banks of 32, I guess, 32K. Alright, so that'll sit on these standoffs and also reconnect to the board there. That's the standoff, there's a standoff. So should just be okay. I think that's in. I'll double check that, but I've got to reconnect the RGB obviously. I've got the RGB cable back on, but actually it looks like it might actually be documented. So just hold this steady. We've got a G, we have an R, we have an S for sync, and we have a B for blue, I guess. So it could be, if we ignore the blue one, which is pretty obviously ground, so it looks like the green wire is for green, the yellow wire is for red, the white wire is for sync, and the red wire is for blue, I would say, based on that pinout. But I'll double check from the manual. Found the pinout, so I confirmed it based on what was written there, and I finally found it documented. So connector K7, green on pin 1, ground pin 2, blue on pin 3, sync on pin 4, and red on pin 5. And all the RGB cables I've made, I don't have this combination, so I'm going to have to make a new cable, I guess. So what do you reckon? I've got one of these left, one of the good ones. This is my last one. I'm going to have to order some more. What do you reckon? I'll make up a good quality cable, just in case it does work. Right, so let me get... so this is the last cable I've made up. So this is the one I made up for the Belarusian Kvants. Sorry, reach over. So I'll make another one up. Or I get baseband. So it should be baseband video signal. So this is the one I made up. So I'll make pretty much the same one. Plugs into the GBS 8200 that I use. So I'll make a similar one for this one. Well, having said that, if I just want to see if it works, because there is UHF out, I could maybe find where the baseband signal is. Goes into there. That's the modulator there. No, that's all right. I'll make up the cable. Need to get the braiding and right, let's get started. Alright, so that's everything I'm going to use. So I do actually have videos on making cables, so I'm not going to rehash that here, but yeah, good quality. I use these ones, Rean, R-E-A-N. So good quality DIN connector, an RGBS cable that I get off AliExpress. So that plugs into the GBS 8200, which is just over here in the corner. Connected up to everything. So that just plugs onto there, like that. I know I should set up a GBS control, I think. Anyway, but I don't make SCART cables because SCART was never a thing in Australia, so I just use that anyway. So that, some glued heat shrink. So this is 6mm and some plastic braid just to make it look tidy. What's this one? 8mm? Not really sure. Yeah, 8mm. So 6mm, 8mm. Maybe I'll use 8mm heat shrink. Let's see. Anyway, so I'll start making it up and I'll show you. I guess I could show you the basics. Otherwise, you can skip ahead if you're not interested. So I've just taped up the end there so that I can kind of get the snake to swallow the cable. Just put a little bit of heat shrink on here. So that's going to be down here, keep everything. So I'll just put a little bit on there. So just the problem with this heat shrink is that it kind of all breaks up. Just carefully put it in like that. And it's just a matter of feeding the snake sort of thing. It's going in and you feel where it is down here. And you can just move it along until we're down the end. So we've pretty much got as much as we want on here now. So what I do is just move this up a bit forward. So again, this is where the glued heat shrink comes in, like that. And then I can heat that up. Not too much because you've got plastic braid here, so you don't want to melt the braid as well. So I get my hot air gun. So I just use a Ryobi. I think that's enough. And whilst it's still hot, just squish the glue to how you want it. So, because the glue will harden into whatever shape, so you want it to probably be nice flat shape there. So that just kind of secures the braid at one end, and then I can find, that's kind of where it is there. I'll just snip it off there, like so. So it's probably longer than I need, but you get the general idea. Whack this on. I don't, sometimes, no, you could put a bit of glued heat shrink on this end as well, but then you have problems with inside here, I think, with the glued. So I normally just leave it so it's long enough so that it's kind of inside. That should be all right. So let me figure this out. Like I say, the problem with this braid is that it starts to break up, and so I've just put a bit more sticky tape on there so that I can just, because yeah, always remember, stick this one on first before you start soldering your DIN. So I might not bother with any more glued heat shrink on this end. It would be nice just to make sure it stays where it is, but it should be. I trust me. Yeah, so let's get this ready. There, almost there. So I've cut off, I've got some tiny little clear heat shrink that I just use to insulate each pin once I've put it on. And to make soldering much easier, always use some flux. So just dab that in, dab the business end in, like so. And now it's time to start soldering the pins as per that. Let's try this again. So blue on that one there. Stick it in the hole there like that. Dab on a bit of solder. Perfect. And then I think the next one's 5 round, isn't it? So 5, which is red. So I put on some heat shrink. I think that's how it goes, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, so 5's the next one. Next one in order. Make sure I've got a bit of solder on my soldering iron. And then I'll finish it off. Okay, so what did I say? Pin 5 was red. So I stick the red in there. Done. Okay, so, and then continue on, like so. And then put the rest of the computer back together and see if she'll do anything. I need a bit more solder. Like so. Oh, so there we go. Bit more solder. So a flux makes it so much easier. And yeah, I did put some heat shrink on. So the next one will be 4, which is sync. So on this cabling, that's white. So I stick that on. Sorry, I wasn't going to show you all this. I was just going to show you at the end, but I don't know. Maybe this is. So you can always skip the. If you're watching on a computer, press L. Press L to skip. I think it's 10 seconds or is it 30 seconds? I can't remember. It skips ahead. I'll get that in there. Sync. Dab of solder. Okay. And the last one. So I'll show you at the end. There we go. So with all the heat shrink on. So I'm a bit shy sometimes to show my soldering because not evidently, but without a doubt, I'm doing something wrong. So anyway, so I just stick that on there. So the only problem I find with these even though they're good DIN things, is just this never really goes in as nicely as I would like it to. Anyway, so let me do that, and then we'll see the end result. And here's our cable ready to go. So let's put it all back together and see what happens. Okay, the machine is basically back together. So like, I'd love to just give this keyboard a clean, but yeah, anyway, I won't go on about it. So I'm pretty sure everything is as it was. I've got the GBS 8200 ready to go. It's on the screen there. So let me set up the camera maybe and see what happens when we power it on. We've got the RGB cable connected in. Ooh, let's see. All right, let's see what happens. Smoke or perfect image. That's turned on, power on. It is turned on, isn't it? No, it's not turned on. I can smell smoke. The power LED didn't come on. It's on at the switch. Let's have a look what the computer's doing. Okay. Power on there. Power on here. I can hear something. Power LED's not on. So something's not happy. So the power supply was working. It's not a bad smell. It's like maybe just a smell that like dust is heating up perhaps. All right, just be safe. I'm gonna course, it could be if the fuse is blown, then that would mean. Well, let's disconnect the power from the computer first, because it was working without the computer connected. I'll be back. Okay, computer's disconnected from the power supply. See if the power supply is working. You can see the green LED is on. So it could be something on here is shorting. What? Well, let's disconnect the keyboard first, shall we? Let's disconnect the keyboard. Okay, keyboard is disconnected. I don't think my soldering's at fault. I'll just double check that I haven't shorted anything there, but that's just signal to ground, so that's not going to be any power supply rails. Okay. None of the signals are shorted to ground. None of the signals are shorted to each other. Okay. Alright, well power supply works. So let's plug it in now that the keyboard's disconnected and see if it will power on then. Oh, interesting. There's a clicking sound. Ah, shit. It was powered on. But something's blown. Tantalum. I reckon it was didn't I say it was going to be a tantalum? Looked like maybe a tantalum on the EPROM board. Told you it was going to be a tantalum. So this is the EPROM board here. You can see there's a tantalum, well there's a couple of tantalums. And I saw a puff of smoke come out. Let's just get the RGB cable out of the way. So maybe one of these tantalums is blown. So what I was going to do is remove the RAM board and see if that made any difference. But if the tantalum's blown on here, you have to disconnect that. Okay. Well, I'll pull this apart and see if it makes any, because I need to get this off. I need to get the power supply off to get to the ROM board. All right, okay, let's figure this out. Over the shoulder, I haven't done it this way for a while, have I? Right, so we've got what appears to be 4 tantalums on here, I think. So these evil green ones are 47 micro farads, and this red one's a 2.2. So I'm going to replace the 47s with electrolytics. Well, hopefully that's okay with everyone. Looks like it might have, just trying to get a good, it does look like maybe it's a little burnt. So it's one of these ones. I think that was the one maybe, was that one or that one? So, yeah, and there's these 100 nanofarad ceramics. I'm going to replace those, well, replace that one. I'm not going to replace all of these ones while I'm at it. And then, yeah, there's another 47 down here. So I might as well replace that. Then I'll try powering it on without the ROM board. So it'll be just basically the motherboard. Yeah, the motherboard. Then I'll try the RAM board. Then I'll try the EPROM. And, well, let's see. I was hoping it just wasn't going to work, or it was just going to show some video. I wasn't planning on doing this much tonight. Anyway, let's see how we go. Right, so riddle me this, Batman. So I've put in an electrolytic 47, and I've snuck in a new little 100 nanofarad, but I am confused by this tantalum here. So that's the positive leg on the right, isn't it? That's the positive leg on the right. Why is it on the negative rail? Positive leg on the right, which is this one here. Sorry, I'm still trying to do this handheld stuff. So this is the negative rail, but that's the positive leg. You can see this is the positive rail because that's pin 24 of the EPROM, and that's pin 12, which is ground, pin 24, which is 5 volts. So that's ground, and that's the positive leg of the tantalum. The other tantalum I just took out had the negative leg here and the positive leg there, so that's right. But I'm confused by this tantalum. I thought positive had to go to positive, just very simply, with capacitors. So should I take this out and put the electrolytic in the other way around? I am confussed. What about this 2.2? Let's have a look at this 2.2. Sorry, close up my... So yeah, the 2.2 positive leg. Sorry, it's a positive leg on the right, which is this tantalum's negative leg. Oh, okay, so that's on a different track. Yeah. So that negative, that negative leg, must be a via somewhere, I guess. Oh, okay, there's the vias there. But you can see the positive leg. Positive leg is on this ground rail. Could that be white blue? I'm confused now, because I'm assuming that's not just been replaced, and I'm assuming that's original. I'm going to pull it out and stick it in the other way around and see what happens. You can tell me in the comments that I was wrong. I've done this side, so I have put it back in the way it was, so positive to the negative rail, or ground rail, because there are negative voltages, negative 12, negative 5 floating around. So who knows, that's what it is on the schematic, so I've done that one. And just this one left to do. Okay, so the EPROM board is done. So, but before we reconnect it, let's just check the RAM board and the main board, the motherboard. Let's just check what they do. See if the power supply comes on for them. Power's off. Plug it in. Turn the power on. Okay, turn the switch on. Okay, power supply's on. So these two boards are happy, at least. Okay. So I'll reconnect the EPROM board. Okay. Oh, I should have plugged the RGB cable in. Okay. Line that up like so. Push her in. Okay, I should really screw it in, but I'm not going to screw it in. I just want to see if it powers on. Okay, so we've added the EPROM board back on with the replaced capacitors. Let's see what happens now. Okay, power on. Whoop. Okay, don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. The power LED came on, then flicked off, and there was a little sound, and then it's come on again. But it looks like I fixed whatever the issue was, so it's probably those tantalums. I told you it was the tantalums. Okay. So far so good. Actually, everything's connected but the keyboard, so really I should have plugged in the plugged in the monitor RGB cable. So let me connect the RGB cable in, just see if we get anything. Stable. Nothing on the screen at all. No outputs. Alright, I'll plug in the keyboard and press some keys to see if they make a sound. But there is absolutely nothing. So I'll have a quick check of the signals as well. Alright, so I'll turn that off. Okay, I'll plug in the keyboard. Alright, keyboard's plugged in. Just turn that away, see if we can. Power LEDs on. No LEDs on the keyboard. Oh! An LED came on. Oh! Two LEDs are on. No idea what I'm doing here. Alright, well I got two LEDs on. I know that there's a reset combination, but I'm not too worried. There is some reset combination I saw in the documentation, so I'll just power it off. So I don't know if you saw it, but there's definitely two LEDs that went on. So power on LED, nothing on the screen at all, and I could get that one on and that one on. I don't know what I'm doing. Nothing coming out of the speaker. I'll have a quick look at the RGB signals just to see if there is any output there. But if there was, I would have thought that we'd get some rubbish on here. So some troubleshooting to be done. Unfortunately, it's probably have to go to the end of the queue because I've got some other stuff I need to get back onto. But let's see. Of course, always happy for advice. I just checked on the oscilloscope. There's absolutely no activity on the RGB out. So some more troubleshooting. So I'm working on an Alpha 8080 based as well, but I don't know if this is the same. I don't think it's got an 8275. I have to have a look at the schematics. Troubleshooting. So sorry guys, I did try, but yeah, I might start on the keyboard next then, just try and clean that up, do some troubleshooting, because I don't need the keyboard to get video out, I assume. So I'll clean the keyboard up whilst I troubleshoot, but other things to do as well, so let's see. Bye for now.